Thank you for joining me today, guys. We are going to be doing this beautiful, beautiful hat. I have seen people come out with this hat with different names. I've seen it done as a seashell hat, a swirl hat. I'm using a written free pattern that I got on Ravelry called the Divine Hat. So if you want to follow along, you can download that onto your device or print it out. If you want to have the written directions handy, or just save them for future use, because this hat crochets up so quickly and it is just gorgeous when it is done. One of the prettiest winter hat patterns. Look at the top of the hat. Look at that pattern that you get. Isn't that just beautiful? Now, what you're going to need is, if you're doing the adult hat, and you're using a worsted weight, which I would suggest a number 4, you can use an Aran weight, you can use a bulky. Adjust your crochet hook size accordingly. In the directions, they do suggest a number 4 worsted weight, a J and an H hook. You're going to be doing the body in the larger size hook, and then when we get down to start doing the brim, you'll switch to a smaller size hook. I have a small head for an adult, even though I'm a tall lady. So I went ahead and I used a 5mm or a J hook, an H hook for the body of the hat. And then I switched to, I believe it was a G for the brim. So let me see what I've got here. Yes, I switched to a 4mm or a G to do the brim portion. So, okay. And you can also have a tapestry needle handy, metal or plastic, doesn't matter, and a pair of scissors. That's what you're going to need for this project today. And of course, your yarn, about 150 yards. If you're going to make your hat longer, let's just say that you want more of a slouchy look, then, of course, have about, I don't know, maybe 175 or 200 yards of yarn. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to make a magic ring, I lay the yarn over my palm like this, usually with 2 fingers. I wrap it around the 2 fingers and I kind of crisscross it. See how that crisscrosses? And then when I'm on the back of my hand, I lift up my pinky and just kind of hold it between my pinky and my ring finger, only just so that it's stable like that. I take my hook, I go under the X, and I'm grabbing the back yarn. Okay, now I've got the back yarn. Okay, then I just simply pull my fingers out. See the ring I've got here? Okay, leave it just like this. Leave this little loop over your hook. Okay, now go ahead and put your yarn around. You can hold it, pinch it like this. Put your yarn around your fingers as you normally do. You still got your hook in this little loop here. Okay, so just go ahead and chain 2. 1, 2. This first chain 2 is going to count as a double crochet. Now normally I do a chain 3 to count as a double crochet, but in this particular pattern they want you to do a chain 2. Okay, so that's what we will do. Okay, now we want to do 15 double crochets inside this adjustable ring. Okay, so you've got your chain 2. Go ahead and do 15 double crochet inside your magic ring. So you yarn over, go inside your loop, grab some yarn, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. That is a double crochet. And if you see little fuzzies on my yarn here, that is simply because I had already made this hat and pulled it out, and it is wool. So, okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, And it is hard when you're first starting out doing these into a magic ring. 4, 5. So just figure out a way that works for you to hold on to the ring. And if you want to, as you're going along, cinch up the ring just a little bit if it feels like it's getting stretched out or whatever. Okay, where did I say I was? Am I on 5? Let's count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 7, 8, 9. Oops. 10. See how my ring is kind of, the tail's kind of going in, so I just pull it down just a little bit. Okay, 11. Now it will get easier to work this. 12, 13, 14. Okay, so if you're counting the chain 2 as your first double crochet, then you only needed to do 14 double crochets into that ring. Cinch up your ring nice and tight. You don't have to worry about tying it off or tying in the ends right now. Just leave it like that. That's fine. Oops, there we go. Okay, now we're going to join into that chain 2 that we started with. Make sure you try and get both loops if you can, both bars of that stitch. It looks like a V, so try and get both bars of that and just pull your yarn through both loops, and that is a slip stitch. Okay, now I'm hoping that this is focusing well. I've been noticing that if I'm using my daylight lamp behind me, because it is nighttime right now, that a lot of times my camera isn't focusing as well as it should. Okay, and if my nails are discolored, I was in stuff that was making them discolored today, so I apologize for that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to do a front post double crochet around every one of these 15 double crochets for round 2. Okay, so you don't need to chain or anything like that. You're just going to simply go right into where you joined and do a front post double crochet around your first double crochet. Okay, so just you go in behind the stitch like this and come out the front. Okay, can you see that? Do it again. You just go behind the stitch. You've got it like that. Okay, okay, so you just wrap around your hook. You go behind the post of that very first double crochet. See, now you've got 3 loops on your hook. Here's the post. You've just simply gone behind. Let me show it again. We're just simply going behind there and grabbing that post, wrap, pull through, wrap, go through 2, oops, and wrap, go through 2. That is a front post double crochet. Okay, so now move on to the next one. So that's number 1. Go all the way around and do that 14 more times. Here's 2, wrap, go behind the post, wrap, pull through, wrap, go through 2, wrap, go through 2. Okay, so just go all the way around your circle there and do a front post double crochet around each one of the posts of the previous 15 double crochets. And I did not get my yarn bowl, so my big ball of yarn is rolling all over my love seat here. Oh, oops. A little bit of yarn split there. Let me fix that. Redo that stitch. And I'm not one of these perfectionists as far as the recording goes, because I mean, this is life. This is real life. This is real unedited. And, you know, as you're going along, your yarn will split, or, you know, you'll forget to wrap around your hook to do a double crochet, or whatever the case may be. This is real, guys. I mean, this is real life. I am a very fast crocheter. I guess compared to some people, much slower than others, but you know, and I do make plenty of mistakes as I go along in life, as we all do, and it's just, life is a learning process, isn't it? It really is. And so I'm looking at my work and I'm not looking at my camera. I'm kind of thinking I want to back out a little bit. I need to count my front post double crochets. Hold on. Let's count. I know I've got at least one more to do. Let me do this last one and then we'll count them. Okay. I think this might be the last one. All right. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there's our 15th one. And when you join your round, you're simply going to go into the top of the first stitch and do a slip stitch to join. Okay. All right. And now on our second row, we are going to do a front post in every front post double crochet, just like we did in the beginning, but we're going to do a double crochet in the space between the front post double crochets. So when we're done with this next row, we will have 15 front post double crochets and we'll have 15 double crochets. So let's see how that works. All right. So again, we're going to do a front post double crochet. So go ahead and go behind your post and do your front post double crochet. Oops. And there's your front post double crochet. Now you see the space between the two posts? Go between those two front post double crochets from the previous round and do just a double crochet. So yarn over, go in that space, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, and yarn over, go through 2. So now you've got one front post double crochet and one double crochet. So the next you're going to do a front post double crochet, and then you're going to do just a double crochet in that space. Now a front post double crochet and a double crochet. Okay, front post double crochet, and in the space a double crochet. Okay, front post double crochet. Whoops. See what I mean about life? And a double crochet in that space between the two front post double crochet. Another front post double crochet, and then just a double crochet in the space between the two front post double crochets from the previous round. Another front post double crochet, and then a double crochet in the space. Front post double crochet and a double crochet in the space. Okay. Front post double crochet and a double crochet in the space. Now this is very easy because as we go along, the only thing that's going to change in this pattern will be increasing the amount of double crochets between the front post double crochets. We will always maintain 15 front post double crochets. The only increases will be the amount of double crochets we will be putting in the spaces. And that is the hat in a nutshell. So let's go ahead and finish this round with doing our front post double crochets and a crochet in the space between. Okay, so here's the next front post double crochet and a double crochet in the space between, a front post double crochet and a double crochet in that space. Okay, front post double crochet, pull up more yarn, and a double crochet in this space. and a front post double crochet. Now what you can do is go ahead and you can place a marker at the beginning of each round, a stitch marker, or if you happen to have, oh, I lost them, my cat stole them. I always keep little pieces of yarn too that you can slip in so you can remember where the beginning of your round is. But I think with this pattern, because of the front post double crochets and how the texture of them, see how they pop out? And then the double crochets in between kind of recede to the back, if you're seeing that. These kind of stand out, the front posts, and then the double crochet in between, they're kind of hidden in there. So it may be easy for you to figure out your pattern, okay? So let's do another front post double crochet, and let's do a double crochet in this space. Let me count my front post double crochets, and I'm going to go backwards this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I have got my 15, and I've got my 15 double crochets. Join with a slip stitch to the top of that first stitch. Grab your yarn and pull it through both loops, okay? All right, so again, you're going to go ahead and do a front post double crochet on that first stitch. And then you're going to do a double crochet in the space. Front post double crochet. And then a double crochet in the space. Okay. Front post double crochet and a double crochet in the space. Make sure that you're doing your front post double crochets on the front post double crochets and not in the double crochet itself in between. Okay, you don't want to do it on here, you want to do it on here, okay? And like I said, if you're looking at the center of your hat, you notice how you're going to start forming these ridges, and those are all the front post double crochets, and they're going to pop out. So you're making sure that you're doing it on the front post double crochet, always a front post double crochet on a front post double crochet, not on the double crochet in between, okay? All right, so we just did our double crochet, which will recede to the back as we do our next front post double crochet. Okay, and then a double crochet in the space in between. Now, when you're finished with this round, like I said, the next round, we will be doing the next 2 rounds after this. We will be doing our normal 15 front post double crochets, but we will also be doing 2 double crochets in the spaces instead of just 1, okay? So I'm just doing the double crochet in between. I'm doing my front post. I'm doing my double crochet in between. I'm doing my front post double crochet. And do check your work, guys. Make sure that you are putting your front post double crochets always around the front post double crochets and not around the double crochet that's receded behind, okay? Okay, so there's a double crochet in the space, a front post double crochet, a double crochet in the space. I'm hoping you're able to see what I'm doing here and my fingers aren't in the way. Okay, front post double crochet. And go ahead and finish this around, and I will meet you back up. Okay, so we have just finished round 4. Round 3 and 4 consisted of a front post double crochet in all 15 front post double crochets with 1 double crochet in between, okay? So now that we have done that for rows 5 and 6, we are going to be doing our front post double crochet in all 15 front post double crochets around, but in the spaces in between, we're going to be doing 2 double crochets in the space, and that will be for rounds 5 and 6. So let's get started on that. Okay, so we've just joined with a slip stitch to the top of our first front post double crochet that we did in the previous round. So go ahead and do a front post double crochet. This is the first one for this round. Okay, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the space immediately following the front post double crochet. So just 2 regular double crochets in the same space. 1, sorry, trying to pull up some yarn here, and 2. Okay, so then do your next front post double crochet, and then in the space immediately following that, 2 regular double crochets. Okay, I'll show you again. Do your next front post double crochet, and again, these stick out with higher ridges, so you know that you're not grabbing accidentally the double crochet in between. You don't want to grab this double crochet in between, you want to grab your front post. Okay, front post double crochet, and in the space immediately following that right here, you want to put 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now go ahead and finish that all the way around. When you're done with that round, you're going to slip stitch in the top of the first front post double crochet that you did in the previous round, and then front post into that first one again with 2 in the space. Okay, so rounds 5 and 6 will be a front post double crochet with 2 in the space immediately following it. And when you're done with round 6, I will meet you back up here. Okay, so we have just finished row 6. Okay, so we did our last front post double crochet. This is our 15th one. We did our 2 double crochets in the space immediately following. Now you're going to slip stitch into your first front post double crochet like you do at the end of every round. Just slip stitch in there. Now you're going to front post double crochet in that first front post as always. Okay, so this is starting of round 7. Okay, so we do our front post double crochet, and now in the space immediately following, we're going to put 3 double crochets. Okay, instead of just 2. There's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then do your next front post double crochet, and then 3 double crochets in the space immediately following. 1, 2, and 3. Do your next front post double crochet, and then do 3 double crochets in the space immediately following that front post double crochet. 2, oops, and 3. Now go ahead and do this all the way around, slip stitching in the top of your front post double crochet that you started with, and do 2 more rounds of this. So you're going to do a total of 3 rounds doing a front post double crochet and 3 regular double crochets in the space. Do 3 rounds of that, and I will meet you back here for round 10. Okay? Okay, welcome back. We have just finished row 9, which the last 3 rows had 3 double crochets in between the front post double crochets. Now, what you probably have noticed when you do your double crochets in between the two front posts, you're having to kind of pull over to do the next front post double crochet. Let me go ahead and join this row to complete this row with a slip stitch, as always, okay? And then okay, so we just joined with a slip stitch, and now we're going to go right back into that first front post double crochet and start round 10 with our first front post double crochet. And in the space right after that front post double crochet, we're going to be putting 4 double crochets. So there's 1, here's 2, here's 3, and here's 4. Now, one thing I didn't mention earlier on, and hopefully you picked up on this as you're doing your work. As you see, you're over here just completing those 4 regular double crochets in the space immediately following your front post. Now you've got to go all the way over here to the next front post. Well, don't let your stitch doing this front post be loose, because as you're pulling it tighter, you're creating a shell look, kind of turning these double crochets in the spaces in between kind of sideways, creating kind of a shell look. That's why some people call this the shell hat, the swirl hat. It's got many different names, and many different people have come out with this pattern, okay? All right, so again, we did our first front post double crochet on round 10. In the space immediately following, we just did 4 regular double crochets. Now we're going to do our next front post. We're going all the way over here, slipping in behind that post, grabbing our yarn, and completing that. And see how I've got my stitches fairly snug? Not like ultra tight, but fairly snug. It's just kind of a natural thing you'll find that happens in between these posts, okay? So now I'm in the space and I'm doing 4 regular double crochets, okay? There's 3, and here's 4. Okay, so now we're going on to our third front post double crochet, and see, I'm keeping my stitches fairly snug at this point. Not like ultra tight or anything like that, but for me, it seemed like it was just a natural occurrence. Okay, so again, this row, row 10, is a front post double crochet 15 times, and immediately following each front post double crochet in the space, you're doing 4 regular double crochets. You are going to do this for the next 7 rounds. And then we will begin the brim of the hat. If you want a longer hat, and don't worry if this is curling up, because this is all going to correct itself. It will definitely correct itself as you go along, okay? If you want a longer hat than what this creates when you get done with the next 7 rows of doing the 4 regular double crochets after your front post, go ahead and just repeat those rows a couple more times, or however long you want to have your hat, okay? Okay, so you have done through row 16. This is our last 4 double crochets of row 16 with our larger hook. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the first double crochet, top of that stitch, and then we are going to change our hook sizes to a smaller size. Like I said, you can go down 1 size or 2. Now I made my hat with an H hook this time, and I'm debating on whether I want to go down to a G. Actually, this is an F. So I'm going to go down to a G, which is the next size down for me. Okay. Okay. So we are going to be putting one single crochet all the way around. You should have 75 stitches, because in row 16, when you did a front post double crochet in all 15 front post double crochets, and then you put 4 double crochets in the spaces, that will give you 15 front post double crochets and 15 of the 4 double crochet groups. Okay, so that should be 75 stitches. So go ahead and single crochet in every stitch around. Okay, and to do a single crochet, you go into your stitch, grab your yarn and pull it through 2 loops on your hook, wrap around and go through 2. Go in the stitch, pull up a loop, wrap around, go through 2. Okay, and I will meet you back here when you have done all 75 single crochets, and then we will do a double crochet in all 75 stitches for the following round. Okay, but I will meet you back at the end of row 17 when you have completed 75 single crochets around your hat. Okay, so we are on 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, and 75. This will be the 75th single crochet for that round. Okay, and you can slip stitch if you want into the next stitch. Okay, and now you want to do 75 double crochets all the way around. So wrap around, go into your stitch, grab a loop, pull it through, go through 2 and go through 2. That's a double crochet. And go ahead and do 75 double crochets all the way around. And I will meet you at the end of this round. Okay, we are back. Now you have done 75 double crochets around on top of the single crochets, and you don't have to slip stitch into the first stitch. What we're going to start now is doing a front and back post double crochet. Now what you might want to do at this point is put a little piece of yarn in this first stitch so you can keep track of where you started, or you can put it in your front post double crochet or one of the stitches right here, just so that you know where you started. So this is what I do. I just take a piece of yarn, you know, just a small piece, doesn't have to be this big. I usually double it over and make it a contrasting color. So if I'm doing something in a patterned or a striped yarn, a lot of times, like I'm doing now, I will use a solid. I just I slip it through the stitch. My camera is not pointed right here. I slip it through the stitch and see the little loop there, and then I just pull the 2 little ends of the yarn through that, just very lightly. You don't have to make it tight. And I slide it to the back of that stitch. So see, it's sitting here on the back of that stitch. Okay, so we've just put our little stitch marker on, whether you're going to use a regular stitch marker, a piece of yarn, or something, just so you know where you're going to be starting. Okay, so go ahead, and we already know how to do a front post double crochet. We've got the post, 3 loops on our hook. We grab a loop, we've got 3 loops again, we grab a loop, go through 2 and go through 2. Okay, now we're going to do a back post double crochet. Okay, so we just did our first front post double crochet. Now instead of wrapping and grabbing the front post like we normally do, we're going to go behind the stitches. We're going to wrap around our hook. We're going to come back, pointing the crochet hook towards ourselves, laying over the top of the post, and then going back in the back again, grabbing your yarn to pull through a loop. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Wrap, go through 2, wrap, go through 2. That is a back post. And you see the difference? The front post lays in the front. The back post lays in the back, okay? So now, of course, you can guess we're going to be doing a front post because these alternate. Okay, so we'll do our front post double crochet. Again, let's look at that back post. We're wrapping our yarn. We're going behind the stitches. We're coming through. We're laying our hook over the top of the post, pointing back through. We're grabbing that yarn. We're sliding it through and then kind of turning it a little bit. Turn your hook a little bit. 3 loops on your hook as always for a double crochet. Grab up a loop, go through 2, grab up a loop, go through the last 2. Okay, now we do a front post. Okay, and we're pretty experienced with a front post by now because we've been doing it all through this pattern. Okay, let's do a back post again. Wrap, go behind the stitches, point through at yourself, lay over on top of that stitch. Okay, you see how I'm doing that? I'm pointing towards myself, but I'm now turning and laying on top of the post, going back in the back, grabbing that loop, sliding it through. 3 loops on my hook, wrap, go through 2, wrap, go through 2. So what you're going to be doing, guys, is you're going to be doing front and back post crochet all the way around until you get back to your stitch marker, back to the beginning, and just keep going and do 1 more row after that. Now, I suggest if this hat is for you, go ahead after doing 2 rows of the front and back post crochet, try your hat on. See if you like it at that point, okay? You can do as many rows of your brim as you would like. Okay. Once you've gone all the way around and done your front and back post double crochet, keep going and doing your back post in your back post, your front post in your front post, because you want to keep it symmetrical so it looks like ribbing, okay? So I just did a back post in a back post. Let's go ahead and do a front post in a front post, and of course we know how to do that. And let's do a back post in a back post. Remember, when we do a back post, we're going to wrap our yarn over our hook. We're going to go in from the back, and here's that back post stitch, and it's behind. Remember, it's behind there. Trying to get it to where you can see it. So we lay it over the post, we go back in the back, we grab that yarn and we slide it through 3 loops on our hook. Wrap, go through 2, and wrap, go through 2. Let's see that again. We're going to do a front post. Okay. Now we're going to do a back post, and the back post is back there. Okay. So let's see if I can get it to where you can see it. Good. Okay. So the back post is right here, and it's behind. Okay. So we're going to wrap our yarn. We're going to go behind, come through this space, lay over that back post, go back in the back, grab that yarn, pull it through. So we've got 3 loops on our hook, wrap, go through 2, wrap, go through 2. Okay. So this is round 2 of my front and back post. Okay. So this light might be too bright. I'm trying to get it to where you can see. So see how it's making like a ribbing effect here? And it's very, very stretchy. I love it because it's stretchy. Yeah. So, okay. So continue on with your front and back post. for at least do 2 rows of it. Try your hat on, see if you want to do more rows. If you're making it for yourself, if not, measure if you've taken measurements or you have a hat in the size, say maybe a store-bought hat or a previously made hat for the person you're making it for. Just do a measurement on it and see how you like it. I think I'm going to end up doing at least 3 rows of the front and back post on mine. And I will meet you back here when I've got my hat completed. And we will do the finishing off together. But isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just beautiful? Unfortunately, I think it's showing you that this is all oranges, but this is like a really beautiful red with a really light orange and almost a really light peachy pink color in here, and the white. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. Okay, I will meet you back in just a little while. Okay, so we have completed all of our front and back post double crochets. I opted to do 4 rows because I tried my hat on and I just needed another row to comfortably cover my ears. Okay. And I like to end on a back post double crochet, and the reason I like to do that is because once I go ahead and I pull my thread through, pull enough so that you have a tail to weave in. Okay, clip your yarn, and then it's easier for me, I think it looks nicer to hide it in the back. So it's more hidden through the inside when you're first starting out. Now, if I have a number 4 worsted weight, here is my my little yarn marker that I use because I didn't have one of my stitch markers handy. But I like to use my crochet hook to weave in my ends. However, okay, but what you can do is have a yarn needle. They come in different sizes. They come in plastic or metal. Okay, you can fold your yarn in half so you can push it through the eye of the needle, then pull it through like that. I'm assuming you probably know how to weave in your ends, but I'll just show you how I do it. Okay, so I start going through the back of the stitches and I go in one direction. Okay, I just try and go in one direction through these stitches, and hopefully you've left a long enough tail to where you can take it through quite a few stitches, because you don't want to just do a couple stitches. I mean, you really want to take it through a length of stitches. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull that through. All right, so that's hidden all through these stitches in the back, and you can't even see them in the front. Okay, so once you've gone one direction, now go back in the other direction. However, you can't go through this same stitch that you just came out of right here. You have to skip that one and go to another one. Okay, and just take it through these stitches, and you're going in the opposite direction to really hold this yarn in. And try and go under there. Like I said, just go under a bunch of stitches. Okay, and pull that through. Now what you can do is clip it off at this point. Just take your scissors, give it a little tug so it's kind of under there, and then when you stretch it out, it'll be hidden underneath all those stitches. Okay, here is our completed hat. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Like I said, you can add a little pom-pom on the top if you want to. If you don't know how to make a pom-pom, let me know in the comments below, and I can go ahead and do a quick tutorial. I've got a really cool way of making them using 2 empty paper towel cardboard rolls or empty toilet paper cardboard rolls without having to go and worry about buying a pom-pom maker. They work really great. Anyway, as I said, I opted to do 4 rounds of the front and back post double crochet for my brim because I wanted a long enough to cover my ears from the cold. But I'm very, very happy with this hat. It's beautiful and so soft, and the brim is so stretchy. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I never ever say that in my videos. I just put the words at the end, but I thought it would be nice to go ahead and say that. Yeah, stay tuned, and I'm going to be coming out with another tutorial to do a scarf that will go great with this hat. Remember, you are all amazing, just as you are. Bye.